The law of divine oneness states that we are all connected. We are all one. We are all part of a whole. That means that all of humanity, all of nature, and all of the universe is one energy. Together we are creation. What this universal law is stating is that you and God, as well as the rest of the human race, are part of the same whole, unlike the common belief that you are separate from God and other people. Quantum mechanics shows this to be a fact. Western society pays little attention to the universal laws, aka metaphysics. We think we are smarter and above these old beliefs. Asian society and traditional Native Americans base all aspects of life and living on the universal laws. Believing the above to be true, which it is, then everything we think, feel, speak, or do, every action will have an effect on others. Science says that a butterfly can flap its wings in California and it will affect the weather in China. Once we start to understand and live this concept, we can start to identify with the good in others. And the more kindness we show to others, the closer we come to God and our higher selves. As we become aware of this law and start to live and expand it, our connection and awareness of God increases. Understanding and living this law will create a greater awakening than anything else we have ever tried to comprehend. It is very important that if we want happiness and inner peace, we start to comprehend and live this universal law. To put this law to work in your life, it is important to remember we are all interconnected. That being true, then the way we treat each other is how we treat ourselves. So instead of simply reacting when someone does something you don't like, think how you would want another to react to you if that situation were reversed. Also remember, losing your temper and getting angry at others ruins your day as well as theirs. So when you get angry at another, you are treating yourself badly as well. Others respond to you the way you respond to the world. Treat yourself great by treating others great. Treat others great by treating yourself great. The law of divine oneness states that God and all humanity are one. The energy of God is everywhere and permeates through all things, animals and human beings alike. We are always connected to the God force because our soul is part of the God energy. We often feel disconnected to God, but God gave us a way to connect to the higher energy through our higher self. We can utilize our higher self through meditation. Meditation is where God talks to us directly through thoughts, feelings, a voice in our mind, and sometimes it can even be a physical voice. Meditation is not to be confused with praying to God, because praying is where we talk to God and ask for help. Meditation is where we connect to God, and He, She, universal mind, communicates with us. As our connection to God, universal energy, grows stronger through our mind and physical bodies, we raise our own energy vibration levels within our own self. Then we manifest greater health, happiness, and increased satisfaction and wholesome interaction with others, which creates sense of peace and contentment within us. When we know that we're at one with each other and with God, we begin to work together and help one another. We begin to take responsibility for our actions and strive to be the best we can in a sense of oneness with the perfection that the universal God is. Our separate from God mindset, a disbelief of God's energy that lets wars, hate, poverty, illness, and causes human suffering. Viewing all the misery and suffering, I can understand the disbelief. We need to be aware that God's energy, which is pure love and light, resides in every single one of us as humans. We are, and have been since 1987, being raised in consciousness as we gather more understanding of the One. We come to earth where we can exercise free will, and through this free will, God decides to allow us to experiment. And these experiments are both positive and negative. God, giving free will, cannot take sides of good and bad. God is neutral. This world was originally designed as perfect and abundant. Our forefathers had the choice to keep the earth balanced in perfection as it was when first created. But over time, they chose to follow their own personal greed and create this separated from God abundance mindset, which we now realize isn't true abundance and doesn't produce true happiness. Wrong thinking about the resources on this physical earth being limitless, and they aren't. Only the spirit is limitless. Basic greed by a few has raped Mother Earth and taken away many aspects of her perfection. God initially instilled this perfect balance in her so that she would sustain life and remain forever fully balanced. In our greed and misunderstanding, we as humans over our history have each taken part in this vision of us being separate from the God energy. If not, we would take better care of Mother Earth that our God designed for us. As we have moved away from the very early teachings of unity, in an attempt to reap these rewards of selling off the gift of the earth's resources that God gave us, and separated everything from God. So we as human beings can now believe that we are separate from God. I feel that God's view of good and evil is completely loving and accepting either way, because she gave us the free will to decide. It may be that any acts that aren't loving might likely disappoint the pure loving energy of God. The universe wouldn't step in and disrupt this world of free will because we're here to work out our own issues and learn how to love unconditionally while on this earth plane. And try and remember that we are gods on earth, being souls with a body for transportation. If we had stayed in this alignment with God's perfection by following the law of oneness, I'm sure the earth would be completely balanced and we would all be very happy. Suffering and scarcity on this earth is what we as humans have manifested for ourselves, and had we not strayed from the law of oneness, would be non-existent. In the future, we can make the decision to work as one and decide to end this destruction that Mother Earth is now experiencing. By waking up and becoming more aware of our unity, we can connect back to the beauty of God's source energy. We can cease to experience the man-made limitations we now see. It is so important for us to become aware of our thinking, speaking, and acting, and stop adding to the present-day suffering. Start to intensify the healing of the earth, beginning with ourselves and then the remainder of the humankind, and then Mother Earth herself. The lesson that all of us as a whole should learn is that our separateness has destroyed our own earthly abundance. As we keep depleting the earth's resources and keep wiping out each other in war, we'll eventually understand the oneness. And you can keep burying your head in the sand and not see that the earth will soon tell us, enough is enough. This will happen in a number of ways, and future generations will be forced to go through a healing period. The abundance of Mother Earth will regenerate herself and move back to the perfection and abundant love that God initially designed in her in the beginning. It will probably take many thousands of years and maybe include the extinction of the entire human race to clean up this separation mess. When we can all live here on earth with free will and love, accept and nurture one another, live as the way God intended, heaven on earth will be the realization. Until the time of our realization comes, all we can do is align ourselves with the law of oneness and the other universal laws. We know that God's love is pure in its intent, because anything that comes from or is a part of God is good. And that's everything in the universe. At the heart of religious beliefs, we can find many statements that promote this belief. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Because as you do unto others, it will come back to you by the law of attraction. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. When you love God with all your heart, you will not have the time nor the inclination to do harm to another living thing or Mother Earth. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the laws and the prophets. I believe your neighbor includes everything, not just humanity, but the animals, plants, and the earth. It's hard to harm another without harming self. As we are destroying Mother Earth, we are surely destroying ourselves. Have you ever noticed that giving away brings happiness to you? Forgiveness is the number one thing you can give that you get the most benefit from. When you forgive another, you release that destructive feeling from your mind and allow healing. It's impossible to forget without forgiving, also impossible to forgive without forgetting. It's impossible to live a happy and healthy life while holding hate and resentment in your heart. Remember the law of attraction, what goes around comes around. When you truly forgive and forget your supposed hurt by another, someone will do the same for you. We are all one, and all is returned to us according to what we send out. The law of one is about accepting everyone and everything as they are, without judgment. This includes the self. The law of divine oneness states that we are all interconnected, we are all one, we are all part of a universal whole, a sea of energy. That means that all humanity, all of nature, all of the universe, and all of God are one. Together we are creation. The universal law of one is stating that you and God, as well as the rest of the human race, are part of the same whole. This is unlike the common belief that you are separate from God and other people. So, if this is true, then everything we think, feel, speak of, or do relates to and has an effect on all others. Once we start to gain an understanding of this, we can start to identify with the good in others. And the more kindness we deliberately show to others, the closer we come to God and our higher selves. As our awareness of the law of oneness grows, so does our connection and awareness to God. The law of oneness can create a greater awakening than anything else we have ever tried to comprehend. If we want to survive as humans, it is important that we start to understand and live this universal law. Putting this law to work in the real world is of utmost importance. We must remember that we are all connected, and this being true, then the way we treat others is how we treat ourselves. So instead of simply reacting when someone does something that bothers us, first think how you would like others to react in that same situation. This goes for both good situations and bad, whether this person is deserving of praise or in your mind just the opposite. Something to remember on the law of divine oneness. The world responds to you as you respond to the world. Treat yourself well by treating others well. Treat others well by treating yourself well. One can have no smaller or greater mastery than the mastery of oneself. Let go and let God. Peace.